Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 8 of the Over the Boards podcast. Today is February 9th. We're into the second week of February. It's a beautiful day outside. The sun is shining, but she's all slippery because we had about 36 hours of freezing rain. We're not too far behind this week. We're a couple days behind. How you feeling, Josh?
Feeling pretty good.
That's good. Good to hear. We got some news involving your team. You finally have your backup situation solved, it seems like, with the trade, so we'll get into that right now. After the other night, after a disappointing game against the Rangers, as I'm setting my alarm and going to bed the other night, I get a notification instantly from the score that says Toronto Maple Leafs have made a trade that involves coming the other way is the way I want to put it, Jack Campbell and Kyle Clifford in exchange for Trevor Moore and a second and a third, 2/3, but one of the thirds is a conditional second round pick. Now, right away, this was a split trade. Everybody, I seen comments that were saying this is awesome. We have toughness and a good backup goalie, and then I seen stuff immediately saying this was such a stupid decision. Why would we give away one of our best depth forwards for two okay guys? Now, I know you immediately right away put in the group chat that you did not like the trade, and then the next morning put in our group chat that you did like the trade now that you thought about it. Do you want to talk about that? And in the big picture, now that we've had some time, you've seen Campbell and Clifford play, what do you think of it?
Yeah, when the trade first happened, I wasn't too happy because I'm a huge fan of Trevor Moore. I love his game. I think him and Kadri were the only two last year in the series against Boston that were actually willing to throw a hit and willing to actually go in the corners.
We had that unreal hit the first game against Chara, just completely launched him in the boards.
And he put in a couple goals and played really well. And also giving up 2/3 that probably will become a second. If Toronto makes the playoffs, it becomes a second.
No, the conditions are if Campbell gets 6 wins before the playoffs and you re-sign Clifford. That's the condition.
I think playoffs is one too.
Is that one as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. I don't think it's all of them. I think it just has to be one of them.
Yeah.
I
think if it's the playoffs one, Campbell has to win 6 games.
Okay. I don't see you guys bringing back Clifford, so I don't think that one's complete.
Depending on
how he is with his stay and how much he wants money-wise.
I mean, he's from Ontario, and he said he's really happy to be there. Mm-hmm. So who knows how much... I don't see him... I see him as like a 1-year $1 million guy.
Yeah.
I don't see him looking for term and money.
No. I mean, I didn't have any problem with the trade. Right away, it fits the 2 out of the 3 things that everybody says. Everybody says, 1, we don't have a backup goalie, 2, we don't have toughness, and 3, we don't have defense. Well, boom, you just hit 2 of them right away.
Yeah.
You got Jack Campbell, who is a fringe starter / solid backup goalie. It took him a while to get to the NHL. He wasn't properly developed in Dallas. That's the problem. Dallas has a bad problem with developing good young goalies. It's always been their issues. It's always been one of their issues, and I don't know how they're going to sort it out because they have 2 really good goalie prospects right now.
Jake Ottinger
and Colton Point.
Yeah.
They have 2 really good guys right there, and Ottinger they've had a lot of hype for, but they have a really bad history of developing goalies.
Yeah.
I think back to Philip Deschores, who was a second-round pick out of the queue, and they just left him in the ECHL, and then they bring him up to the American League, but wouldn't really give him a shot, and he'd get hung out to dry, and that's always kind of been their issue. They'd never really learned how to develop goalies properly.
Yeah.
So when he left and he went to LA, he went in their farm system, and he excelled, and then last year gets called up. Quick is hurt a lot of the year. He plays a good chunk of the year. He posts a .916 save percentage on one of the absolute worst teams in the league, and then this year has at the time of the trade had a .900 save percentage, which is good again on LA, and had a 2.32 I think it was goals against average, which is good. And plus, one of the big perks in that trade is he has this year 2 more years on his salary at $650,000, which is probably the cheapest you can get for a backup goalie, especially someone that good.
At his skill level,
the way he's playing, where if he probably went on the free agent market right now, he'd at least get $1 million.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy amount of money for your position. Now getting into Kyle Clifford. Kyle Clifford does a similar role to Trevor Moore, but just I wouldn't say he's not as fast.
I think that's the only difference between Moore and Clifford is the speed.
The speed.
Everything else is pretty much the same.
They hit.
And,
they the same skill set with
where
the
Clifford
puck.
lacks in speed, he gains in toughness.
Yeah.
And where Moore lacks in toughness, he gains in speed. But Moore's still tough.
Moore is tough. I think the trade itself was good for Moore because Moore to me is a for sure third line player, but could be on a weak team a second line player. And I think that like with the amount of forwards that Toronto's had, they've just been rotating through
I think
guys.
Moore's definitely a guy that you can move up and down your lineup.
Yeah, and it's not an issue.
No.
Where that's good in LA, where they can use a guy like that, and Toronto needs this third line, fourth line for sure tough guy to do what they need to do. Now, obviously, they didn't address the defense situation, but you can only get 2 out of 3, right?
Yeah.
I was saying before I had in my notes that you've seen the rumor I was hearing for the last week was it was going to be Martinez, Campbell, and a high prospect. Could even be who did you guys trade for Muzzin? The offensive defenseman.
Oh, Sean Durzi.
Sean Durzi. People were saying he might even be coming back now
Oh.
as part of that. So I was hearing it was Martinez, Campbell, and Durzi for Kapanen. That was a lot of what I was hearing.
Wow.
Which to me, again, wouldn't have been a bad trade, but you're giving up a serious player like Kapanen, right?
Yeah.
Which you got to do what you got to do. They're trading from a strength to benefit a weakness, right?
Yeah.
So it's tough. But to me, I didn't have a problem with this trade, especially with the way Campbell's been playing. He played great in his first game. His first, 3. Last night was his third game.
No, second.
Was last night only his second against Montreal?
Yeah.
Okay, but he came out with the win the first night.
No. But it was a 5-4 game.
It was a 5-4 game, but he had almost 40 shots.
Yeah.
I thought he played pretty good, and then last night just didn't.
He played spectacular last night.
He played a great game last night.
It's just
you just couldn't score goals.
Yeah.
Which is...
Well, we couldn't... after we scored on our first shot in the third period, and then...
Right away.
Didn't have another shot the whole rest of the third period.
And you can't blame that one on him.
No.
But, I mean, you overall are happy with the trade?
Yeah, I mean, addresses the needs. Michael Hutchinson, I think, was given a couple more chances than he probably should have been, and that was probably because Kyle Dubas just couldn't find the perfect trade. And like you said, this trade was agreed to a while ago, actually. Someone was saying, not like the Martinez and stuff, but the Moore, Campbell, and Clifford trade, that was like a side thing that was already agreed upon weeks ago. But the problem was Moore had a concussion, and LA wanted to wait until he came back and played a few games to see if he was fully healthy. So when that medical came back, the trade was done. So this trade was agreed to go probably like 2 weeks ago.
Now, would you rather this trade that happened now, or would you something that you could cook up that might be a little more crazy for a guy like Gorgiev? Because the top 3 that I was hearing were it was between Jack Campbell, Gorgiev, and then it was kind of Aaron Dell was the third option, but San Jose was picky about giving away Aaron Dell because right now he's their starter.
Yeah.
And for some reason they still think they're going to make the playoffs.
I just think for the value that San Jose and the Rangers were putting on their goalies, I think Jack Campbell was the best option in the end. I mean, does that raise for another team that maybe wants to look for goaltending depth? Like you seen Columbus last year trade for Kincaid just for that goalie depth in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Does this trade mean that it raises the price on a Gorgiev? Because it was 2/3 in a top 9 forward. So does that raise the price? Does it maybe bring it down a little bit? I think that's an interesting part of this trade too, of how it sets the market for backup goalies.
Which you never seen in the past. Like backup goalies were sought after, but you could take anybody almost and stick them in a backup position where it was your starter played 60 to 70 games and you just needed a guy who could come in relief or just play against the bottom teams. Now with the NHL, how they're going like a tandem system, you need guys who know how to play. You can't just throw someone in against the worst team in the league and that be the game. It's just like if you look at the teams that have been doing well the last couple of years, just even last year, you had Dallas who ran a tandem, you had Carolina who ran a tandem, you had Boston, you had New York. You had all these teams that were at the top of the NHL, and all of them went deep into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they all ran a tandem. Now you don't always run the tandem in the playoffs. You let your starter play, but you need the 2 goalies together to get you to the playoffs. You can't just rely on one of them anymore.
Your backup needs, in this day and age, like this time in the game, your backup needs to play at least 30 to 35 games.
And you can't expect a fringe AHL guy to do that.
No. Especially when most of the times he's either playing the front end or back end of a back-to-back.
It's not throw this guy in against Ottawa and see what he does, or throw him against New Jersey or San Jose. Like
Yeah.
you need a guy who's going to step in against the best team in the league and just completely steal a game.
And the thing about this trade too is right now in the American League, when Anderson's expected to come back Tuesday against the Coyotes.
Mm-hmm.
So sending Hutchinson down, that means you would have Kaskisuo, Hutchinson, and Joseph Wall down in the American League.
Mm-hmm.
And Joseph Wall's played really good this year.
He had a shutout the other night. He had a 36 save shutout.
And I'm really worried that he's gonna get his games. He's gonna be that third goalie when Hutchinson comes down,
mm-hmm.
because Hutchinson has played well those few games he did go down.
And Kaskisuo's been an all-star.
Been the all-star of the team this year. So I'm kind of worried about that. So I wouldn't mind if maybe Dubas just kicks the can on any team that maybe needs like an AHL goalie,
mm-hmm.
and just give us like a late round pick or something, or like a college prospect that the team might not even consider signing,
mm-hmm.
and they drafted in the 6th round 2 years ago or something, just to let Joseph Wall keep developing, because I really think he could be one of those goalies we look at in like 3 or 4 years that could take the reins as maybe not like a number one, but definitely like a solid backup where he could play. I see Joseph Wall as a backup that can play close to 35 games a year
mm-hmm.
and win you at least 20 of them.
Which is exactly what you need with the way everything is going now. Just the thing is, like, people always overlook the way goalies are in the American League. To me, which is, I mean, I understand why people don't really pay attention to it or overlook it, but there's a seriousness about it with developing the game.
Yeah.
You need, and it's a business, and they're a team, they're trying to win. So you need that bona fide number one experienced starter in the American League. I get that. But you should also, if you have the prospect, have someone there to play. Like you have a Joseph Wall and you have a Kaskisuo, or before that you even have a Hutchinson. There's so much, like I see teams out there who just, they'll have 27-year-olds when they have prospects in the ECHL, and they're it's almost like we need to win the Calder Cup to show you something.
And you think about an example too, like if you look at Mason McDonald,
mm-hmm.
like an old Calgary pick,
mm-hmm.
who was touted to be a pretty good goalie prospect.
He's a 34th overall pick, I believe.
Yeah, they just stuck him down in the East Coast League because they had John Gillies, and I forget who the other goalie was in the American League. And they just never brought him up and never gave him the chance. Mm-hmm. And now he struggles. He's bounced
around. He's in the ECHL now. I think he's with Idaho currently at the moment. But yeah, he's a starter in the ECHL. And I mean, the guy is 23 or 24.
Yeah.
Which is right when if you're in, goalies take a lot longer to develop, obviously. And there's this huge step from going even from the East Coast to the AHL, but the AHL to the NHL. And that's where a lot of, like, you see goalies that they're fringe guys and they just can't keep the spot because the game is just so quick and so different just at those levels. So you see a guy when they're usually 23, 24, that's when they want to go from the backup AHL spot to the starter in the American League who's getting those call-ups to get those experience and to see where they're at for their development, if they're going to be ready for the NHL, maybe even in the next year. And he's obviously not there. Yeah. But he could just be a late, like, I think he also was stunted in his growth in the game. But hopefully you never know, he could be a late bloomer like Jack Campbell was, where when he gets that chance, he finally does. Yeah.
And going back to Toronto too now with this trade and Cody Ceci going on IR. Mm-hmm. Right now, Toronto currently holds $9.5 million in cap space between McKayev, Ceci, and Riley being out. Mm-hmm. So the huge discussion this week was, obviously, you're going to bring Riley back as soon as he can play. Like, you're not going to keep him off. You're not going to keep him on IR till the playoffs. Because a lot of people don't know this. I totally forgot about it. I knew it, but I just never even thought about it. That there's no salary cap in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. You can just... That's things that guys do. Like, they talk about David Backes.
Yeah.
Even if they don't move him, they can bring him up in the playoffs. You can stick 14 guys in your American League that make $10 million. Well, they call it the Kane
loophole.
Yeah.
Because Chicago did it 1 year. I forget who they traded for, but they traded for someone, and then Kane was on IR and played right when the playoffs started, so they had a roster way over the cap, but they were in order to do that. So people were talking about, you obviously bring back Riley when you can, so that leaves you with 4.5 in cap space, because it looks like CC's going to be out for a while. Mm-hmm. So it might be and McKayev's not going to come back anytime soon.
No, you still have that.
So it looks like the benefit would be keeping CC on IR because he really hasn't been playing good.
Yeah.
And you use that money plus a Kapanen or a Janssen to go out and really get that defenseman. Now you really opened up the money to so you can go out and get a Matt Dumba, a Josh Manson, a Rasmus Esterlainen, a Brandon Montour, guys like that, like those right-hand
Brandon
defensemen
Dillon.
that you really wanted.
Mhm.
I think why Toronto, a lot of people are saying that Martinez is going to go. I think Dubas is really focused on getting another right-handed guy.
Mhm.
So I don't think that it's going to be Dillon or Martinez. I really think it's going to be one of those guys that I just said.
Now we're talking about CC. Would you be fine with just completely sending him down and getting him out?
Yeah.
Because I find like when I watch Toronto, he just sticks out like a sore thumb. Like,
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It looks like he's playing like super nervous out there sometimes, and he just doesn't know how to control the puck.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really frustrating. Like, I wasn't one of those guys who bagged on Gardner. I thought Gardner was really good, and I just think you have a couple bad games, and obviously he wasn't getting a lot of help.
There's always a whipping boy in Toronto.
Like,
and he just happened to be the one.
Jake Gardner should have never been the first pass guy.
No.
Never.
No.
But because he was, and he wasn't that good at it, he became the whipping boy. But CC, to me, is just like, he ain't worth the $4.5 million that... Like, his pay in the free agency, I'll be surprised if he gets not like $1 million.
Well, the reason I'm not going to be 100, I can be a little bit wrong on this 100%, but the reason his salary is so high is because when he was going, because his contract was up, right?
Yeah.
Last summer, and he was involved in the Zaitsev trade, there was already an option in place that was picked up. So as Toronto was trading for him, the option was already in place. So when he moved, it immediately kicks in.
No,
So,
they negotiated that. Dude, there's no options in the NHL.
are you sure?
Yeah.
Because I heard they had to give him that contract.
No.
Okay.
He negotiated that. Dude signed him to that. That's why it's only 1 year.
Okay. But who would you rather... Because, I mean, the reason he's there is because he's a right-handed D.
Yeah.
You need someone on that right side. And now with him out, you have Marincin in, and I know you don't like Marincin, but at this point, would you rather have Marincin than Cody Ceci?
Yeah.
Because to me, Marincin at least does one thing
Well,
well.
Timothy Liljegren's playing right now.
Yeah, and that's fine. But would you rather have somebody who at least has a little more experience? Or
I'd rather Marincin in there than CC, but Timothy Liljegren looks like he's improved. He's played 2 games so far. He got super nervous in the both games he's played.
The first game was bad.
The first game was
not
bad.
on him. It was just a bad game in
yeah,
general.
But
and he was a part of it.
last night he was on a pair of Rasmus Sandin, and you can tell you were watching a 20-year-old and a 19-year-old on the back end playing. You could tell that by just watching the game. But I thought they played pretty well for the matchups they had.
Mm-hmm.
But Marincin has more experience, so I think you should put Marincin, even though I do not think he is an NHL defenseman whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm saying I think by leaving CC and Mikheyev on IR right up until the playoffs, at this deadline you have to attack. Because if you move Kapanen or Janssen, you're automatically that you increase it to almost 8. Because I think they get paid both like 3.5 in that
3
range.
and 3 and 3 and 4.
Yeah,
3.3 and 3.4.
Yeah, so if you want to, let's say, a Matt Dumba, because that's number 1 on my wish list, Matt Dumba gets 6.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, if you gave Kapanen, you're automatically actually gaining cap room because you're over his 6. So you really have 7 mil. You're bringing back 6, so you have another $1 million to maybe go get another depth forward or another
that bottom D.
Yeah, you can get another depth defenseman.
Because you need D in the playoffs. That's always been the thing, no matter what.
Honestly, you need 8.
Yeah. Well, it was when Anaheim. I think it was when Anaheim won the cup in 2007. They used 13 defensemen. And that's when you look at like the teams that Pittsburgh had. When Pittsburgh won both their back-to-back cups, they didn't have they had guys, they had your Letangs and stuff like that, but they had a mix-up, like a mashup of guys. Like the 2017 Cup, they went and got Ron Hainsey at the trade deadline.
Yeah,
you don't even need
and
those
they got
numbers.
Trad Ruedel too.
Yeah,
one of those years.
And then of course Ben Lovejoy always went back to Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
always. And that was the thing. That was what they did. They just picked up guy here, guy here, guy here, guy here, and just put them all in the lineup. And if you don't work, or if you get hurt, we'll throw someone else in and see what works. And I think that's the number one thing in the playoffs that you need. If you're going to have a stockpile of anything, you need defensemen.
Yeah. So, I think the cap that's left over, I think it can't be used on another forward. It has to be used on a right-handed D.
Mm-hmm.
Honest to God, it needs to be used on 2.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we should have Timothy Liljegren, even though I think he is going to be good. And he might be even part of the package that goes out for a right-hand defenseman. But even if he's not, I think he has to go back down to the American Hockey League because I think the Marlies are going to push deep in the playoffs this year. So I think that'd be better experience for him rather than just sitting in the prep spots during the playoffs.
So right now, if everybody's healthy, your D-lines are Riley, Barry.
Yeah.
Because Barry was playing at the top with Riley before he got hurt, right? And then you'd have Muzz and Hall.
Yeah.
And then who?
Dermott and Sandin.
Dermott and Sandin.
Yeah.
You think that's how they're played out instead of Marincin or even CC?
Fully healthy.
Everybody's healthy, yeah.
Oh, well,
How
I
is it
think
gonna look?
CC would probably CC
Slide
would
on
be
the
up
right
with
side?
Muzzin then it would be Hall with Dermott.
You think?
CC would play on the second pairing with Muzzin, yeah. And then you would have Marincin and Sandin as your 7 and 8.
Mm-hmm. You're fine with that going
No,
into the playoffs?
no.
Not at all?
Not at all.
No. So you want Matt Dumba?
I want Matt Dumba, but I'll be happy with any of those guys I listed. Like I said, Brandon Montour, Josh. I'd be happy with Josh Manson.
Mm-hmm.
I think Josh Manson would be a really good option for us. He's a defensive guy. I think a second pairing or even a first pair. I think. So let's say they get Josh Manson or Matt Dumba. I'm going to put them in the same spot. So I think if they got one of those two, the D corps should be Riley, and then
Whoever.
Dumba or Manson.
Yeah.
Interchange that. Barry Muzzin, Sandy, Dermott and Hull.
Okay.
And then Marincin and Sandy would be your 7 and 8.
Now, what if you have to send out someone like Barry? What if you have to, if say Matt Dumba's coming back, Barry has to go to Minnesota. Then how are you? Do you want?
I think I'd rather
Barry?
Matt Dumba than Tyson Barry.
Do you want Barry for the playoffs though, or do you think at this point just get what you can get out of him and dump him?
I think if you're getting Matt Dumba, you do it.
You do it.
Because I think Justin Hall can easily play on the second pairing.
I think he is too. I think he showed this year that he is for sure a third or fourth defenseman.
Yeah.
I think he's been lights out. I think I said it the last time when Nick was here. I think he overall has been the best defenseman Leafs have had all year.
Yeah. But I don't think Minnesota or Anaheim would look for Barry in each one because he is a UFA at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably not any of those teams' plans is going forward because he's not like young.
Mm-hmm.
He's 27, 28.
I think, yeah.
So I think if it was a Matt Dumba or Josh Mason, you would see. I think Cody Ceci will go just for the cap wise.
Yeah, if you're
And
taking
then it would
back
be
a
like
big salary.
Kapanen and Liljegren and like a pick.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it probably be. And I know it sounds like a lot, but CC does not have a lot of value. CC's just a name and money in that trade.
So we're gonna go to this later, but we'll transition it now. Right now, Cheveldayoff is in talks with a mutual termination of Buffin's contract. Now, if he gets terminated, he can come back anywhere he wants.
Yeah, and that's an option too. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, yeah, but I was gonna go to you. At one point, is it too much for Dustin Bufflin, who's probably right now 300 pounds, hasn't worked out?
Money wise,
Yeah, how high are you willing to spend? And I'm assuming
$1.5 million.
$1.5 million.
$1.7 million. No more.
You'd go that high for a
Hasn't-
guy who hasn't skated and is
Exactly.
probably way overweight.
Yeah. He would have to. If I was, let's say I'm Dubas and I call Dustin Bufflin, I get him to Toronto. I do a full fitness test for him. There's no way I am signing to a contract without seeing his body and seeing him skate. He would have to do like an hour skate for me.
See, the scary thing with that is,
But I think he could be a great. I don't even think if Toronto signed him, I think he'd be great with Dermott on the third pairing and let Hall and Muzzin on the second pairing and leave Barry and Riley on the first. Because I think if you overuse Dustin Bufflin, you're gonna get hurt because he hasn't played all year. But if you put him on a pairing with Dermott and let Dermott do his thing where he can go all around the ice, and you just have that steady guy in Dustin Bufflin, I think that'd be a great option for Toronto. But it's all about the money.
could you imagine a second line pairing of Muzzin and Bufflin just completely just smashing
That would be
everybody
scary, yeah.
who skates over the
If
blue line?
if Bufflin's like fit enough to play 20 minutes a night, then yeah.
It'd be ridiculous. Like, you try to go on the left side and you just can't. And then
Yeah.
you turn to the right side.
You can't. It would be a great
You
pairing.
just
and that's
dump
a
the
good,
puck in and
that
send the
is a good
fastest skater.
option. Yeah.
Now, the scary thing to me is, I feel like when he goes to free agency, if he decides that he's not retiring,
Yeah.
but I assume if you're terminating that contract, I assume he's not retiring.
I assume he's looking to go to another team.
Because he could just easily stick himself on LTIR and get his money, and then Winnipeg is done with it.
Yeah.
And Winnipeg obviously now wants to make moves.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason
And
they're pushing this
And
now.
I kind of
They've
feel
done it.
bad for Winnipeg because we're 2 weeks out of the deadline. Like, you could, like, it's 7 $8.6 million in cap space that they could have used in October.
And they could have went crazy. They could
Yeah.
have got anybody.
And you think about it, if they knew what Dustin Bufflin was going to do at the draft, they could have easily traded for PK Subban.
Mm-hmm. That 100%. That
Right?
would they definitely
Because he was out there, so that would have been it. Wouldn't have been a perfect replacement because he doesn't bring the physicality, but it's a guy on the back end that they could have used.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel bad for Winnipeg because now they're scrambling. They're trying to get this contract terminated. The trade deadline's 2 weeks away tomorrow. So it's tough, and now they got to get pro scouts out looking for defensemen. And you've already, I think, the report last night. There's 3 scouts looking at Dylan, and there's 3 scouts looking at Martinez. So they are out there looking for guys, but they got to get that contract terminated as soon as possible.
Now, a guy, like, we've been talking about D with this, and one guy that I know personally, well, not personally, but I've seen him play enough, being a fan, is Vatanen. Nobody ever talks about Vatanen.
No.
New Jersey is moving Vatanen, and when I first heard that Winnipeg was terminating the contract, I immediately thought Vatanen to Winnipeg. I don't know why. To me, that just seems like a really good fit. That's just me, just from watching him play, and then the way I know he plays, I feel like it could easily transition into Winnipeg's game.
The only thing with that, and I like the fit, I do, because Winnipeg does play a fast game. They like to move the puck. I just think if they're getting rid of Bufflin, they want to bring in some more size, and I think that's why they look at Dylan and Martinez, because they want a hitter. But if they can use that money to get both,
You could probably get 2.
I think they could if they did Vatanen and Dylan.
And I'm sure if you sweeten the pot enough, New Jersey will take some salary retained on that.
Yeah.
Because we have lots of money to burn right now. And
I'm trying to think who has a necessarily bad contract.
A really bad contract?
On Winnipeg. Matt Perreault, maybe? He makes 4.5, but...
There's nobody on the defensive side. There's nobody on the goalie side.
No, because their D is all 800K guys.
Yeah,
I think Matt Perreault would be their worst contract.
Maybe.
But he's not even that... He's not a bad player. It's just maybe he gets paid a little more than he's worth. I don't know. It's crazy to me how they don't have a lot of cap room.
No, but they have all of this... It's all tied up in the young forwards.
Yeah.
And then your experienced guys. But talking about Winnipeg, I just want to say how, not surprised, but kind of happy and I am that how good of a game Neil Pionk is having in Winnipeg. Because there was a lot of doubts that were saying, well, if that's all you got was Neil Pionk. Like, yeah, he's an alright defenseman.
Yeah.
But that's all you got. And he has just completely owned that position of being a top
He's the highest scorer in defenseman this year.
Yeah, I think he has 36 points.
Yeah, I think he passed Josh Morrissey last night because he had 3 points last night.
Yeah.
Or yesterday afternoon against Ottawa.
Yeah, and he, to me, he's completely just skyrocketing his value. I don't know if he's UFA after next year.
He'd be an RFA.
Because he's only young.
Yeah.
But he's going to, if he continues this into next year, he's going to get paid.
Yeah.
To me, he's just all around, not even on just the offensive side, like defensively, I think he's playing great. I haven't seen him a whole lot of games, but from what I've seen...
He had a bad turnover yesterday against Ottawa, but then obviously he made up for it because I think a minute and a half later, he had the primary assist on a goal.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, he's doing great. I don't know, like, it's crazy when you think, because all that money that they're going to have, that they could have had, like, this year has been so rich in defensemen that are ready to move, which is good because everybody needs defensemen all the time. But again, going back to like what you said, like imagine knowing at the draft like who you could have got. Like you probably could have went out and got TJ Brody.
Yeah.
Who now Calgary, we'll get into it now, is probably happy they had because Giordano's out for he's week to week as it is.
Yeah.
But do you see them moving like him or Travis Hamonic? Because I mean, Giordano is like a major part.
I see Calgary's buyers at this point, not, and I know their coach said that we're not in the place for rentals, but
they got to do something.
Losing 5 games in a row got to change their tune pretty quick.
Yeah, they went from riding high and that coach.
And Bufflin's an option for them too.
Yeah, and just I don't know, like it's.
I think a lot of teams are gonna call Dustin Bufflin.
Well, that's what
I think Tampa's gonna call him. I think Boston's gonna call him. I think you're going to see a lot of East team. Depending on the money, Washington. Imagine if Washington gets him.
No, just like what's scary to me is I think there's teams that will give him like term. Like I think there's
So you
teams
think
out
it'd
there.
be like a Kovalchuk thing where like you don't know how he's actually going to play, and LA just throws 4 years at him.
I was thinking 3. Like I
Yeah.
feel like if
I'm
you're-
just I'm not saying the
Yeah,
term
no,
would be the
yeah,
same.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying you're
No.
throwing term and money at him, but you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I think there's teams out there who are gonna go, well, that's Dustin Byfuglien.
Yeah.
It's Dustin Byfuglien, and they'll go, here is 3 years at $3.5 million, and then halfway through next year he can't skate.
Yeah, they're like, why did we do that?
Yeah.
And then they're talking about sending him down, terminating the contract, and
And then that's just a whole clusterfuck.
like I said, I don't think any team signs him without a fitness test.
No,
I don't think any GM would be dumb enough to throw money and term at him. I think if Dustin Byfuglien comes up and say, I want more than just the rest of this year, you gotta really sit down.
you gotta
with
really
him.
want him.
Yeah, you gotta really
you
want
need
him.
you need to be a team like Boston who says we're gonna win, and then after we win, we can do whatever. It's
Yeah.
fine. We'll worry about it later. So if he wants at least 2 years,
And you don't know what Chara's gonna happen in the summer, so if you just replace Chara with Byfuglien, it's not a perfect replacement, but
it can fit.
it can fit.
They get 2 similar playing styles. I think Chara will be back.
Yeah.
I think Chara will be back on like a 1 year, $1 million contract anyway. But Boston's gonna be tight for cap.
Yeah, I looked at. I think they have 3.3 or 3.5 right now.
But for next year, like
For
they
next
have
year.
guys they need to sign.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be tough. I think they really want to move that David Backes contract because that has 1 more year on it.
Yeah. It's
so
tough. Yeah, I don't know, but we just go back to Winnipeg and like they're like if you're Kevin Dale, you're scrambling right now to try to find something.
just anybody.
Because you got to use that money. You'd be stupid not to.
If you get rid of that just the moment that Dustin Byfuglien contract
You got to be on the phone.
is I know you should. I think you have to have a deal in place.
Yeah.
I think the moment that hits the league office that it's officially terminated, they announce
You have
a
a
deal.
trade 2 minutes later. Yeah.
You have to have something ready to go right away.
Yeah.
And as soon as you use the moment that's done, you got to have something ready to go because you need to use that money. Because if you don't use that money, people in Winnipeg are going to lose their minds.
Yeah.
Because despite how their team is this year, they've been playing pretty good. I mean, Hellebuck has a bounce back year and is just completely killing it.
Yeah.
So it has to come like that. But if we're talking scoring, we'll move into Kovalchuk. I'm going to read you the top from least amount of goals. These are playoff contenders who have the lowest score, like goals for.
Goals per game?
Just overall, like they're lowest in scoring.
Okay, yeah.
It's Dallas, Columbus, Philly, Vegas, the Islanders, and then Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
But Montreal wants a 2nd round pick.
Yeah.
Is that way too high?
It is high, and the points he's putting up, you wouldn't think it, but you have to think about Montreal picked him up for nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
So that's like buying a car for $100 and then selling it for $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's like. And if a team's desperate enough, I don't know. Dallas might be. I could see Dallas maybe for secondary scoring might just say, you know what, we need it. He's scoring. But the whole thing is you don't know what he's going to be like in that system. Because he couldn't do it in LA, so why is he doing it in Montreal?
I think he didn't give a shit in LA. I think that was a thing.
The sunshine and palm trees just...
Yeah, he said, I'm coming back over and I'll play. And I think, we all talk about how delusional LA is that they should be rebuilding, but they're not.
Yeah.
I think they said, hey, look at our roster. And then they got there and he realized that this is a bunch of old fucks. There's so much money tied up in everybody. This team isn't doing anything.
Yeah.
And then they just didn't give a shit about him, and I think he just gave up.
Yeah, I don't know. But, like, if they lowered the price to, like, a third and, like, a mid-level prospect, I guarantee you every single playoff team is calling them right now. Because he's only making $750K.
Mm-hmm.
So any team that needs a second-line forward...
It's not going to kill you.
And a power play guy, it ain't going to kill you to give a third and a mid-level prospect for.
No.
But a second to me is too high, especially it depends if it's for this year or next year, because this year the draft is super deep, and you can still get really good guys in the second round, because some guys are going to fall. If it's for next year, though, I'd probably do it. But for this year, for me, my max price for him would be a third this year, and then like a mid-level prospect. That's just me.
You play a lot of basketball lately or no?
Like... 2K, or are you talking
No,
about
like
basketball?
actual basketball.
Not really, no.
You know who does?
No.
Gritty, because he's fucking
Oh,
stuffing.
yeah,
Because
Gritty.
he's stuffing nuns.
Yeah.
Right off of getting all the charges officially dropped or dismissed, Gritty goes out and fucking slams down a nun. Stuffs her completely. We were saying in our group chat, and I think I last on the podcast, if there's any video I wanted to see, it was Gritty punching that kid in the back of the head. I think the best second thing is him just stuffing the nun.
Yeah.
Right away. And I think he should have stuffed her and knocked her down, just stood over her with those big fucking googly eyes and his big mitts and just, what? Like, what are you going to do? Huh? I don't know. Like, that, I thought that was pretty good.
It was a nice little video.
I thought it was good.
It's funny, though, how it came out right after his charges were dropped. He was like, hey, I'm not in any trouble. Let's go make some more.
Let's do some shit.
Let's do some shit.
Who else? Like, I think, like, everybody loves Gritty at this point. And you have to. And I think Gritty is just the perfect embodiment of the Flyers. It's
he's
I'm
a
a pain in the
mascot.
ass. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna fuck with you.
Yeah,
and it just shows right away. Like when you like,
and it brings more media attention to Philly, who usually doesn't get it.
Yeah, I think just the sport in general. Like when you think of like mascots, you usually think something like goofy, or like when I think of mascots, I think of in baseball when they have the mascots for the presidents. They'll do the race.
They do the race, yeah.
That's something that I think of right away. But I don't think of a mascot punching a little kid in the back of the head, or stuffing a nun, or just hanging out in the crowd and just throwing pies at people's faces.
Yeah.
And I think that's great for the game. I don't know. I love it. I think it's perfect. He immediately is my favorite mascot, and he can do no wrong in my eyes.
Yeah, he's definitely up there. And he's adding to like the popularity of mascots too.
Yeah, because
like I can't say I know every name of the mascots in the NHL.
I know a decent amount, but like I don't know all of them.
I really don't. I know Carlton for the Leafs. I know Youppi.
Because everybody knows Youppi.
Everyone knows Youppi because he's been around for so long. He was the Expos mascot before.
Mm-hmm.
I know Gritty, obviously. I know what they all look like. I just don't know their names.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't think you really need to know. That being said, like, I don't think you really need to know any other mascot but your own. But it's cool. Yeah. It's cool if you do.
I know my own for my teams. I know Carlton for the Leafs, Rumbles for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Mm-hmm. There's no mascots in football, which still is weird to me.
Which I think that'd be great. Just get a bunch of people drunk
in a costume. There's so much room on the sideline.
Oh yeah, get people drunk and do flips and shit.
Well, technically there are, because like I know when I went to the Patriots game this year, they had like guys dressed up in old colonial uniforms and they fired off muskets when the Patriots scored a touchdown. I don't know if you can count that as mascots, but that's like something. And I don't watch or do anything with baseball, so I know like you got the Blue Jay, you got the New York Mets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. They're entertaining. Like I think
it's always nice to see guys in big costumes do stupid shit.
Well, they were intended for kids, and I think as
Gritty's not intended for kids. We obviously seen that he punched one in the back of the head.
No, and I think that's like it's the way. It's not even the social media; it's just the way that everything is going now. Like mascots were introduced for the kids, and I think now mascots are definitely for adults.
Yeah.
Like they're still for kids, but I literally think it's just like let's throw some guy in a suit and let's watch him do stupid shit.
Yeah.
Because if I'm a fan and I'm 10 beers deep at a hockey game,
how
with all my
buzzed do you
buddies,
think Gritty gets before a game though? Because there's no way he's doing that stuff sober.
I want to know the people behind. Like, I mean, that's always a mystery is who's behind the mascot.
Yeah.
But it's Jerry who just goes pounds 3 shots of Fireball and funnels a beer and then says let's do it and just.
It could be a woman too. We don't know.
Yeah, cool. Definitely could be a woman. But I don't know. Like it's just the things that
I think it'd be even better if it was a woman.
Oh yeah, because
no one that's just going around like punching kids and rejecting nuns.
Screw you, sister.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to see, like, I like the thing that they had the All-Star game with all the mascots on the ice. I think that was cool.
Yeah.
I would like to see a mascot boxing. Or
match?
Like, or wrestling.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
In the middle of the off-season, they get all of them together, and they have just everybody
I like the draft combine or something. They just had like an extra thing to it.
Yeah, why have the draft lottery? Why not just get mascots together and have a fight and
whoever wins the fight gets the first pick.
You can have whoever you want in that costume. You can go get John Scott and you can put him in your costume and he can beat the wheels off. You think how like GMs would have like their mascots training for months? Oh, we got guys scouting in bars for guys who can get in the costume. Boston just goes, "Hey, Chara, come here." And they throw him in there.
Yeah, they throw him in the bear costume.
Yeah, like, why not?
Someone's going to get, like, Conor McGregor or John Bone Jones. It's just...
It'd be great. I think that should be a new thing. Every summer, you got the mascot The mascot mix-up is what it should be called.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Can't rip the heads off of them either. Heads got to stay on.
Yeah, that's the only thing, though. If you have them rolling around and stuff, what if a mask falls off?
Staple it.
Jesus.
Use zip ties. Something to keep those heads on there.
Staple. That'd be scary if I was in that costume. I couldn't get the head off.
Get a nail gun out and just start pounding them in there. I don't know, man. As long as the face doesn't come off,
yeah,
I think it'd be golden. You know about faces though. You know what hurts?
Getting a puck in the face.
Getting a fucking puck in the face. And of all teams that have been struggling with injuries this year, Pittsburgh, who's just literally had the shit kicked out of them with injuries this year, they lose another player, and of course it's a defenseman. So I don't know, like, is it Marino?
It's John Marino.
It's Marino. Okay. A lot of people. I was talking to someone today at hockey, and they didn't even know this guy existed. Which, if he didn't, I wouldn't
be surprised.
Wouldn't be surprised. He was
his first year in the NHL.
Yeah, he was a 5th or 6th round pick a couple years ago with the Oilers, and he only had he played college hockey. He was a great college hockey player. I think he was a point per game in his last 2 years, and then obviously wasn't going to sign with the Oilers because nobody really wants to. He had his rights traded to Pittsburgh, and then this is his first year. He's been completely killing it. He's been playing on Reno.
25 points in 51 games.
Which is good for a 21-year-old in the NHL.
Yeah.
Who no one really knew who he was. And then takes a slap shot to the face. And then just...
They're listed as like a broken cheek. I don't even know you could break your cheek. How do you break a cheek? It's all skin.
I don't know. Maybe it's just in your... I don't know.
Maybe it's punctured or something.
Something in your
That's just how it
jaw?
was listed. And I don't understand. Usually it's like a broken jaw, like a broken bone in like the eye or something like that, or like a broken nose. I've never heard of someone breaking their cheek before.
Maybe they meant to say like he got hit in the cheek and broke his jaw.
Maybe.
I don't know. I only seen one release about it, and I didn't see. It just said hit in the face.
Yeah, there was no write up about it. It just said John Marino broken cheek.
Yeah, so I don't know. Do you want to just list off these milestones and we'll wrap it up?
Yeah, sure. You can list them off.
All right, so Big Jumbo Joe hits 1,500 points, which
Massive.
Unreal.
Yeah,
unreal. I looked at his league prospects today.
Wasn't the 1,500 point the 800 assist that he got with San Jose?
It might have been. I didn't know about that, but
I think it was.
I was on his elite prospects today, just double checking that it was 1,500 points because I thought he already hit 1,500 games, so it was. I was making sure that it was points, and he's played about 1,630 games. So
that's crazy.
1,630 games.
So 1,500 points in that amount of games.
That equals out to a .93 points per game.
That's all time.
Unreal. Completely unreal for the length.
In the amount of era he played too.
Yeah, when you play in the late 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and then now he's into the 20s, which is completely unreal. Next up we have Giroux. Giroux hit 800 points the other night, and he's only played 836 games, so I didn't get the point per game on that, but that's pretty much 100 when you think about it. It's probably 96.96.
Yeah, it's probably up there.
Yeah, and I just want to make something want to talk about Giroux. I don't know if you have this, but there's players to me who I feel like I've watched them grow up, and Giroux is one of them. Like I find it weird how people talk about Giroux being old, because I remember when Giroux was young, and then I remember when he was the good guy in his mid-20s, and then he was getting to his late 20s, and now he's seen as like one of the older guys, the wise.
How old is he now?
I think he's 30.
Oh my god.
And that's the thing, like I feel like I've watched him grow throughout his career.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody like that? Like you remember watching like their career like in stages?
Giroux's definitely one. I say if I'm going back to Toronto, probably Kadri.
Mm-hmm.
I know Kadri's gone now, but I think that was one of the first drafts I actually watched, so I seen him walk up to the stage. I remember him playing for the Marlies. I remember when he first came up, and I remember Brian Burke just saying how he's got to pick up his game. He's like so bad right now, and to be where he's at now, like that's a player I definitely watched. I mean, a guy that old though, Claude Giroux, like I can't say Crosby because I think I was only 5 when Crosby entered the league, so I don't really remember that much of Crosby. But yeah, Claude Giroux's definitely one, I'd say, for me. Because I remember him playing for the World Juniors, playing with Philly, and now captaining Philly. So yeah, definitely Claude Giroux would probably be my best example too.
We got a thousand gamers. We got my former Devil Zach Parise hitting 1,000 games, and Alex Steen hitting 1,000 games. I didn't get the official stat on it, but I know Steen is one of just a handful of family members who have hit 1,000 games because his dad has hit 1,000 games, and now he's hit 1,000 games. I think there's only a handful of two of those guys. Kiefer Bellow scored his first NHL goal the other night.
I think he had 2 in the game. Pretty sure.
He was a second? He was an early second round pick? I don't remember
I
off
thought
the
he
top.
was a late first.
Might have been a late first. I don't remember off the top of my head, but yeah. And then Brian Elliott hit his 40th career NHL shutout, which is good. I wouldn't expect him, no offense, to have that many. And then,
yeah, when I seen 40, I was like, you really got 40?
But then something that didn't surprise me is Halak has over 40, almost 50.
Yeah, that didn't surprise me because
that doesn't surprise me at all.
Days.
But he's always been a solid goalie. But then you look and it's like, oh, Elliott's hit 40 is also?
Mm-hmm.
That I don't know. That kind of surprised me. But then find it funny, after that happened, he got shut out the other night by New Jersey. He got pulled and everything, which kind of sucks. But yeah, it's the way it goes. Yeah. You got anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that was everything we had.
All right, let's wrap it up. All right, goodbye, everybody.